recording, you guys. Boom, there we go. Well, listen, let me officially welcome you guys to the conversation tonight. We call these magic shows because they literally work like magic. Nobody likes to go to webinars. Webinars are freaking boring. So we don't do webinars, we do magic shows. So the magic we're going to do tonight is to help you understand the value and show you the way to get new patients with absolutely no money. And I'll give you a little tip. The 12 bucks is you can invest it on coffee. Brian, I see you got a good coffee going there right now, buddy. I love to see that. Well done. Nothing wrong with a little caffeine to keep things going. Just in case some of you aren't that familiar with who we are and what we do here at Full Circle, we really focus on a couple of things, helping you have an amazing experience through developing as much meaning as you choose in your life and your business, assessing that with the freedom that you would love to have in your life, particularly as it relates to time, and of course, whatever amount of dollars that you desire and deserve in your life, because as one of my great spiritual mentors taught me years ago, God doesn't make any junk. You're all made from great stuff. You deserve exactly what it is that you want to have in your life. How we do that is through a process referred to as a roadmap, okay? And I'm going to actually show you a little bit of a different version of this just in one moment here. Dr. Lindsay James, nice to have you. Always a pleasure, my dear. You are absolutely one of my favorite humans on planet Earth, and you know that. So let's just get this up, you guys, because I'd like to show this in I think, a more meaningful way. And assuming that my iPad is going to connect to oh my God, it actually worked. This is fantastic. So one of the things that we know to be true about all things on the planet is that they have a purpose. And that purpose is expressed through a vision, and a very authentic and unique vision. Every one of us has a unique and authentic vision, something inside of us that wants to express, something that's unique and organic and authentic. And I know myself better than I know any of you, even though I know some of you quite well. And I can tell you that for me, part of that for me is to be a teacher, to be a coach. It's to be a healer, to be a chiropractor, to be a father, to be a friend, to be a part-time athlete. Yeah, some people would argue that one. But anyways, they have lots of roles that I play, you guys. And my entire mission in my life is to express my purpose through my vision throughout the entirety of my life. So that becomes the centerpiece, you guys, of everything that we do here in our company called Full Circle. And specifically, we have a three-part model that we use in order to do that. As I stated earlier, unequivocally, okay, that what we want to do is we want to help you find and develop and procure as much meaning, as much freedom, and as many dollars as you would love to have in your life based upon your desires, your intentions, and how you want to design and live your life and your business. We do that through a four-part model. That model is based upon the vision, which is unique to you, as I just stated, and also the focus blocks that may be in the way from you expressing that vision to the world, the systems that are needed to procure your unique vision. Some people ask us all the time, Tom, tell me about your playbook. I said, I don't have a damn playbook. I got 350 playbooks. We can customize the systems based upon you and your vision and your dream. And of course, the last one that most of us have in our model is we have a team. And getting real clarity about our vision, making sure that we're removing all of the focus blocks that could be in the way of that vision expressing itself, creating the systems that support that vision, and supporting and creating and leading the team that supports that vision. That's what Full Circle is all about. That's what I've committed my entire adult life to. Let me show you how we do that. We have a roadmap, okay? And this roadmap allows us to literally, after doing this for over 27 years, you guys, I'm pretty clear about all the steps it takes to go from point A to point Z, if you will, right? Not just point B, but to point Z. And so we can go through that in literally succession, starting with our vision pillar, right? We can look at things like exactly what it is you want. You don't know what to do if you don't know exactly what you want. You define success. You got to know your numbers. It's surprising to me how many docs don't know their numbers. Just had a conversation with somebody. We did a practice appraisal today. Said, Tom, I've been in practice 36 years. The simple exercise you took me through so I could appraise you could appraise my practice so I could sell it and get on with my succession plan, helped me understand my financial numbers better than ever. And he says, what pisses me off is that when I started practice, he actually took over one of my practices years ago. He said, I was 60% profit, 40% or expense. He said, now it's flopped. He said, I'm 60% expense, 40% profit. I said, we need to do something about that. And we're going to do something about that. So Again, without boring you guys with too many details, we have a roadmap that allows us to know exactly what to focus on to help people procure an effective vision, exactly the initial steps to clarify the focus, the systems, and of course, the team. And we do that on 3 sort of different energetic levels, okay? The clarity level, which is usually people taking home 5 to 20K a month in their pockets. The manifestation phase, which can only be reached by getting absolute crystal clarity on the clarity phase itself. And at this level, most folks, although there's lots of exceptions, bringing home 20 to 40K in their jeans end of the month. And then, of course, we have the legacy level for usually more experienced docs, bringing them 40K plus every month in their jeans, okay? What we do is these magic shows every 2 weeks on average, we take one piece of the roadmap, you guys, and we focus on it. And today, what we're focusing on, you guys, is this, the referral machine. We're talking about how to ensure that you've got a machine that's referring new clients into your office every single moment of every single day of your practice career. So if that sounds like worthy of time we're going to spend together, I would just love to see somebody say in the chat, is this worthy of your time tonight? You guys give me a yes or a no, please. Just humor me. Give me a yes or a no. Dr. Ron Wagner, nice to have you, buddy. Always a pleasure, my friend. Yes. Who's ready to go here? Are we ready to go? Lindsay's ready to go. James ready to go. Yeah, baby, let's do it. All right. By the way, I love and appreciate the fact you guys are commenting in the chat. You know what? In the days when the world wasn't pivoted on its axis and we didn't have this pandemic going on, right? We could actually be together in person and do things, and I could see expressions, read faces, hear your laughs. You know how I do that now, gang, through Zoom? I do it through chat, right? So if you've got an inspiration, you've got an affirmation, you've got a question, fire it out in the chat. I will do my best to monitor it as I go through and do my best to stay coherent tonight as I get ready for my recreation time, okay? All right, let's get back to the PowerPoint slides, you guys. This is an in-house version of that roadmap, all right? Probably won't mean a lot to you guys, but this was my initial version of this. It's got all kinds of our own lexicon and acronyms and stuff in here, right? But it's literally, I don't want to oversimplify it because it's a lot more than that, but it's like a paint by numbers kit, allows us to help people get from point A to point B as we design the game plans to get there. Here's, of course, the roadmap that I just showed you. There's 3 levels to that. Let's get back to talking about marketing on a $12 budget. Is there anybody here who spends less, in the chat, please, anybody here who spends less than $12 a month on marketing and gets the number of new clients that they'd like to get? I'd love to see if anybody is actually doing it for less than 12 bucks a month. Anybody? I'm going to bet the chat's going to be kind of quiet. Aren't going to be a lot of people that are getting, again, let's be clear, the number of new clients you want every month on less than 12 bucks a month. And as I suspected, the chat is kind of quiet, all right? So as I talk to docs around the planet, you guys, and you get clarity, this is the kind of feedback that I'm getting all the time, all right? Marketing is expensive. It can be expensive. And again, there's obviously the dollars and cents of marketing in terms of client acquisition, new patient acquisition, however you refer to your people in your practice. But I can tell you that it's not just about the dollars, you guys, it's also about the time, okay? And I am no master marketer, that's for sure. I built my practice on a lot of internal referrals, which, surprise, surprise, we're going to talk a lot about tonight. And then as I got into the coach consulting world over almost 27 years ago, as of this recording, I had actually had to learn about marketing and understand, you know, how it comes and how it goes. And I've become relatively schooled on that topic. But I can tell you that it's very, very wise. Here's tip number 1. And if you're a note taker like I am, when I'm sitting in on one of these conversations, one of these magic shows, I always write notes. So if you're a note taker, here's your first note. You must be tracking the time and money that you're investing in marketing. Let me say that again. You must, absolutely must be tracking the time and money you're investing in every marketing project you do. Every Friday morning, I have a calendar reminder in my calendar that reminds me to go in and review our marketing calendar at Full Circle and calculate the number of hours I spent on the different projects that we're doing to help tell the world that we're available to serve and able to help people create more meaning, more money, and more freedom in their lives, okay? If you're not tracking it, for me, you guys, I need to track it weekly or I just forget stuff. And then I'm making shit up and then the data isn't accurate. I can tell you years ago when I was in hands-on practice, we did an event It was a huge event. It took us 2.5, almost 3 months to put the event together. We had 400 and either 56 or 65. I tend to mix that up sometimes, but 400, and let's just use 56 tonight. 456 children under the age of 12 come through our office to get a neurological scan to see whether their nerve system was compromised in any way, shape, or form, as well as to get fingerprinted in case they were ever abducted and all of that nonsense. We had the chief of police there. We had the mayor there. We had the fire crews there. We had the local black belt dojo there. We had clowns. We had face painters. We had students up from the chiropractic college to run the scans. It was a massive event. We ended up with 28 new pediatric patients who started as a result of that day, which from a financial standpoint was a win because every one of our new practice members equated to about a $1,500 case average. But from a time investment, you guys, it was an absolute effing nightmare. It absolutely was a nightmare. But if you're not tracking time and money, you're not going to know that. And people get into this subjective realm of, well, that didn't work very well, or I thought that worked. You need some raw data, you guys. You got to know your numbers. So again, one way to do that, everything, every idea, every event you have in your practice that's designed to tell the world that you're available to serve, you need to have a way to track the time and the money invested so that you can track your marketing. I advocate that you monitor it monthly, but you actually make decisions on a quarterly basis about maybe a different direction to head based upon the information that you have. I would love to know in the chat, you guys, how many people here actually have, just by yes or a no, how many people actually have a written marketing plan that's set out for at least a quarter, hopefully a year at a time? I'd love to see. Give me a yes or a no in the chat, you guys, while I take a sip of water here, please. Anybody who has a written marketing plan, not just something in their head, but it's actually in writing. We got a yes from Dr. Jana, no, yes. No, not quite yet. That seems a bit in between, Lindsay, but I'll accept it. Well done. No, almost, no, nope. So I would offer you guys that based upon just this little survey here, that more people do not have a written marketing plan than do. And again, not that that's a right or wrong, good or bad or moral thing or anything, you guys, but it does create an outcome. And the outcome that it often creates when we coach people is that they're not reaching their community the way they could. They're not serving their community with the ability that they could, because they literally are like the best kept secret in their community. People don't know that they're available. They don't know the amazing magic that you guys do day in and day out. So I'm a huge proponent of having a marketing plan and having it in writing and tracking your ROI. Because when you're doing that, you can then find out if it's expensive, either by time or money, turf that sucker, or figure out a way to tweak it to make it better. And we certainly tweak our clients' marketing plans on a regular basis. The other thing that I hear a lot from people in the field, you guys, is that marketing takes time. And there's absolutely no question that there's truth to that, right? But again, depending upon how you're doing it and whether you're tracking it and whether you know your results or not, it doesn't have to take as much time as what most people think, but it definitely is an investment of time. And that time is time that you're working on your business, not just in your business. My experience with most docs is you're investing, you're so busy being busy, looking after your people, that you're working in your business, not on your business. And I would offer that there's a tremendous value of looking at how you're using your time and breaking it out so that at least 20% of your time is spent working and thinking on your business, not always just in your business. I promise you it will create great dividends. And marketing does take some time, but a lot of docs think it takes too much time. And when you don't know what the heck you're doing, which I didn't for many years on the external side of marketing, you guys, it takes a whole lot more time because you're thinking about it as you go. And of course, when you're getting low quality leads, you guys, like basically people that are not really understanding the big idea, don't have a clue what you do and why they do it. They think that chiros are some sort of a cure for bad backs or headaches. It's like, you know what? That is frustrating, and it's an ongoing thing. It doesn't matter what part of the world you practice in. Everybody has got the same kind of concerns and the same kind of challenges with marketing. End result is you end up on the hamster wheel of marketing, right? Where you're just like, where's the juice worth the squeeze? You know, we're trying to learn things. We're trying to figure stuff out. We're investing a bunch of time, energy, and in some cases, a bunch of money, and we're not getting a whole lot of return for it. And so eventually, you know, survival of the species, the first one of the main biological imperatives says you're just better to do nothing and conserve energy in case you ever have to run away from the dinosaur or the saber-toothed tiger, right? So you're better to just do nothing than you are to go enthusiastically in the wrong direction, which so many people do, right? So again, this is the frustrations. And I tell you, just out of curiosity, do any of you share any of these frustrations relative to, you know, low quality leads? It takes too much time, or it's too expensive. Anybody got a me in here in the chat? I'd be interested to see just where we're at, gang. Do you resonate with any of these challenges that people have been talking about to me for the last 27 years, right? Definitely, yep. Some yays, yep, for sure, right? Well, what is it that we all want? What is it we'd rather have than this marketing wheel of hamster wheel of marketing, right? Well, I don't know about you, but I would love to get some low-cost new practice members, new patients, things that don't cost a lot of money and or a lot of time, so that we can bring them in and they possibly even have a clue about who we are and what we do. And there's a way to do that, which we're going to talk about. Easier marketing, right? Rather than the hard stuff. I mean, there are some pretty complicated formulas. You get into some of the social media algorithms and you're dealing with some of the stuff that they seem to change like every month or two. And, you know, it can get pretty complicated. It can be pretty hard. So I can tell you that there's definitely an easier way to go about that. And we're going to talk all about that tonight. Okay. So let's get some high quality leads too. I already talked a bit about this, but this is where we're looking for actually having, you know, some people who have at least a clue about who we are and what we do before they even get to us, rather than, again, these lower quality leads who come in and think that, you know, I remember this one guy came into my practice quite early on, and he'd been to the Chiro. You ready for this, you guys? The chiropractor a few times, and all he needed was a couple of, you know, hair on his neck. That's all he needed. He was going to tell me exactly what to do. And I'm like, okay, I was a little bit early in practice, but I wasn't born, you know, I didn't fall off the turnip truck. And so I said to him, I said, well, sir, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm the right person for the job here. But he said, because I need to be able to do a thorough assessment. I need to be able to, with the history of what you told me, I need to be able to do some x-rays. And if that doesn't work for you, I completely understand, but I'm not going to be able to, you know, be of any service to you. And he goes, really? You think it's that important? And of course, don't forget, this old farm boy comes in with his great big old muck boots on. I'm sure there was 3 layers of cow turds on there. And I mean, that's just how it rolled. If you've got, I'm going to try mute you guys here and see if we can't cut out some of that background noise. And let's mute myself, okay? I don't think I muted myself. Dan, am I still vocal here? Thumbs up. You guys still hear me? Hey, thanks, Lens. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so this guy comes in, and so as I dig a little deeper after he gives me permission to actually review him, right? And he stopped using the word chiro. I was like, I felt like I was out of a movie or something, or I was being punked. But the guy was legit. He comes in, and as I dig into his history, what the guy did professionally was he worked in Southern Ontario in the summers. He painted barn roofs for a living. Didn't even know that was a thing. Who knew that was a thing? This guy painted barn roofs for a living, okay? And what he had done and what brought him in to think that he needed a couple of, you know, from the chiropractor was that he had fallen off of a barn roof, a 60-foot barn roof, had landed on the roof of the implement building underneath it, bounced off the roof of that, and then landed, and his neck hit the side of the manure spreader before he hit the ground. But he thought he just needed a couple of, you know, from the chiropractor, because he'd had that a couple of times before, right? Talk about not having a clue. I didn't exactly have x-rays in that tiny little office, but I said, sir, I'm not touching you without some x-rays. He begrudgingly admitted we took x-rays. I got the x-rays back. This guy, you ready for this? This guy had a complete fracture right through the body and dens of C5. His C5 was sitting at about a grade 3 spondylo on C6. It was like teetering there like this. His spinal cord had a bigger crook in it than a question mark. And all he wanted was a couple of, you know, to do that. I would have paralyzed the man if I didn't kill him, had I just given him a couple of. So let's go with the high quality leads, you guys. Let's not go with the low quality leads that haven't got a freaking clue what it is we're doing. And there is a way to actually accomplish that, right? Let's get some easy, effective marketing. Isn't that what we all want? And let me give an example of somebody who actually did that. I happen to know this person rather well. Okay, some of you know me personally. You know the smiling face. This is one of my wife and I's 5 daughters. This is our daughter, Jayla. She graduated during the midst of all the insanity and is practicing with a gentleman who came through and got inspired to be a chiropractor by being a patient in my office, which is always to me one of the greatest compliments of life. Somebody that sees how you live your life, the joy you live it with, the difference you make in your community and with the people you serve, and they choose to follow a career path because of that. That is a great affirmation and a great compliment. So Jayla's working with Dr. Rob up in our hometown of North Bay. So Jayla's in practice the first couple of weeks, and I decided to just kind of let her have her experience, right? I'd obviously help her and Rob set up the agreement. She's an associate in the practice. And so after I let her kind of have her first couple of weeks, kind of get her feet wet, see what's going on. And I said, well, how's it going, Jay? And she says, well, Dad, I'll be transparent. She goes, it isn't just the best because I don't really have 100% clue what I'm doing. And I said, well, okay. If you had a couple new patients, she goes, a couple. And I said, well, how many adjustments are you going to do this week? She goes, I think 4. And I went, oh my God, that's not acceptable. That ain't good. That's not how we roll in this family, right? So, and they weren't actually good patients at the best of times. So what did we do? Well, we put together a very beautiful little 17-point marketing plan, right? We had to obviously do some external because she didn't have a lot of internal clients at that point, right? But so we set that up, it created predictable results. And out the other side of that, she ended up not only getting some good quality leads, good quality patients out of this, but she also ended up knowing how to do what we're going to work on tonight and ask properly for referrals. And then those people referred people just like them. Birds of a feather tend to flock together is the old saying. And as a result of that, within a couple of weeks, Jayla was seeing like 30 a week, and now she's absolutely crushing it. A dad, definitely proud papa moment here. She's definitely one of the 5 joys in my life, and I'm super proud of how she's doing it and what she's doing. Okay, let's talk about the 5 keys, you guys. Let's cover it again. We're talking about low cost, high quality, no pain in the ass, new patients. Right? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. If you're a note taker, I'm going to skip through and lay out this these sort of 5 steps here, you guys, pretty quickly. But if you're a note taker, you're going to want to get your pen ready because we're going to go through each one of these in great detail. So we're going to talk about choosing your avatar. We're going to talk about how I believe that Table Talk has 2 heads, not just one. We're going to talk about systems. We're going to talk about how to ask, and we're going to talk about follow up or fail. And this is one of the steps that most people tend to screw up pretty well. Okay. So, all right, just in the chat, you guys, while I sip some water and take a breath, who's excited? Who's interested in what we're talking about tonight? Anybody give me a me in the chat? I'm really curious to go. If you guys are still with me, if you're still plugged in, if you're still awake, if you're still ready to learn and be able to serve your communities at a higher level, anybody ready to go? Anybody give me a yeah, but, yeah, boy, let's go. I'm excited. Woo, woo, woo. Yes, I love it. All right, good stuff, you guys. Let's get to it then, all right? Appreciate the chat, you guys. Choosing your avatar. It is absolutely, unequivocally a no holds barred. You must choose an avatar. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the great, movie that this was based upon, right? Those big blue creatures, right? An avatar is your ideal practice member. It's the person that you most love to work with. And again, you know what? Early on in my practice, you guys, I just wanted to serve, anybody with a pulse, and maybe even some without a pulse. But what I really settled on was really a family wellness practice, pediatric focused, lots of pregnant moms, lots of babies. Probably 30. Most of the times when we did the stats, 30% of our patients were under the age of 12, which was something I really loved. So early on in my career, I was out, and one of the ways that I marketed, which was low cost, didn't necessarily produce high quality new patients because I wasn't smart enough to choose an avatar and get clear about who my ideal practice member was, which everybody on this call and everybody watching this recording is going to do because you're choosing to be here and participate, right? But I had a thing. I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce. In case you hadn't noticed, I love to talk. And so I would put a thing out to all the chamber members and say, I'm available to do talks in the community. on these different topics, right? Well, I can tell you who has the most free time in most communities, you guys. Is it the working class moms and dads and kids, or is it maybe the retired folks? Anybody want to give me a guess? I love my grandparents, you guys, but they weren't necessarily my avatar. I did more talks to beautiful rooms of little blue-haired old ladies than planters have peanuts. God bless them. I love them. They're great folks. But I can tell you they weren't my avatar. And as a result of that, I ended up investing a lot of time talking to a lot of folks, wonderful folks. And I know there was somebody in our community that wanted to take care of them. It just wasn't me, right? So it's really important that you get crystal clear about who your avatar is. Get as descriptive as you can. You guys think about it psychographically, demographically, right? Our avatar in our chiropractic practice were ideally moms between the ages of 30 and 50 from an upper socioeconomic status that had children. And the reason we really focused on the moms as our avatar was because, in case you didn't know, women make more than 80% of the healthcare decisions in a family unit. And if you're a note taker, you may want to take note of that. Women make, in North America at least, make more than 80% of the healthcare decisions for a family. So if mom comes, there's a pretty good chance that the kids are coming, and there's a better than average chance that begrudgingly, the male partner is going to come as well, right? So again, step one in low cost, effective marketing, you guys, is choose your avatar. And anytime you're doing any marketing, you're writing an email, you're putting out a social media post, you're having a conversation with somebody, think about talking to that one person and that one person only. Write to them, talk to them, think about that person when you're doing your marketing. So that's step number one of the 5 keys, you guys. And then let's talk about table talk. Whoops, let's go backwards on that. Table talk having 2 heads, okay? Very commonly, table talk in most people's practices is about patient education. And by the way, just as a footnote, take it from an experienced coach here, you guys, coached thousands of docs from all over the planet. If you don't have structured table talk in your office, you are missing a phenomenal opportunity, right? You are in a position of authority. You've got a captive audience, whether you got open rooms or closed rooms, you got a captive audience. They're looking at you. They're wanting to be educated. And if you're not taking the opportunity to educate them, you're missing out on a great opportunity. I can tell you one of the things that really helped me with this head of the table talk, which is education, because the other head is, surprise, marketing. You took the words right out of my mouth. But let's talk about the education side. There's a guy in my practice, his name was Ray. And Colleen, his wife, was a nurse, and she was the person that made the decisions. The kids were under care. Well, actually, they had one daughter. And Ray worked at the local psych hospital as a handyman guy, right? And he had been in and out of care several times. But the third time he came, he'd come for 3 months and then he'd go away for a year. And he'd come for 9 months and he'd go away for 2 years. And he'd come back for 6 months and he'd go for a year or whatever, right? He was in and out under care. And I kept talking about wellness care. I kept talking about the opportunity to live at his peak potential and all those things were important to me in my practice. And Ray listened, but he just square pegs, round holes. He just couldn't quite get it. So finally, with really structured table talk, with an amazing doctor's report healthcare class, with unbelievably amazing progress reports, I educated Ray to the nth degree because it was structured. I knew that Ray was getting the exact same education that every other person in my practice had got over the last several years. Ray comes in and we get to our progress review and he goes, Doc, you know what? I'm actually really strongly considering doing it your way this time. He goes, I saw the x-rays. I see they're getting worse. I see the nerve scans. I see they're getting worse. I'm actually open to hearing what you've got to say about something more than just crisis care. I educated Ray as I did every other person. Ray says, Tom, I need a day to think about it. I promise I'll call you at noon tomorrow and I'll let you know my decision, whether I'm going to stay under care or not. I said, fine, Ray. Ray called back at noon the next day and he goes, Tom, you know what? It's just not in me. He says, I don't look after myself well. I don't drink clean water. Hell, I don't even change the oil in my truck when the idiot light comes on. I put a piece of black tape over it. I says, I'm just not that kind of guy. And I said, Ray, you know what? You're right. Love you, man. But I got to tell you, I can't go under the symptomatic care like that. I'll refer you to another office that can look after you the way that you want to be looked after. He goes, works for me, works for me. I can tell you guys, I walked 25 feet tall that day. I was a legend that day. I had a practice member tell me square up that he didn't want what I had to offer, and I walked 25 feet tall that day. Why? Why was because I knew that Ray had got the exact same education that everybody else had got in my practice, where the vast majority of them chose to stay under care. He chose not to because it wasn't the right thing for him. I felt good about myself because I knew that I'd educated him well. It just wasn't his path this lifetime, right? If you're not doing structured table talk, you guys, you're missing out on a phenomenal opportunity. But the other head of table talk is marketing. And if you're not using your table talk as an opportunity to ask for referrals and low cost, high quality, birds of a feather flocking together kind of practice members, you're missing out on a phenomenal opportunity, you guys, to make a big difference. And we're going to talk about that. So how do we actually do this? How do we go about structuring this, right? You've got to have a system to ask. If you don't have a system to ask for referrals, you guys, in your table talk structured times, inevitably what's going to happen is this. You're going to get busy. You're going to forget. You're going to get sucked into another conversation. You're going to run a few minutes behind and not want to do that and get those evil stares from the reception area, right? Particularly from your staff, right? So you're going to, get busy and you're going to go, I'll do it next time. You must have a system. And at the very minimum, here's my recommendation. This has worked very well for clients at this part of this recording, 27 years I've been consulting. At the start of every shift, pick 2 people, just 2, a minimum of 2 people every shift that you're going to ask for a referral. Make it a system. You are, of course, all doing pre-shift huddles with your team, right? Right? And as part of that pre-shift huddle, you're getting a chance to communicate to them. And between you and the team, you're deciding who are the 2 people that are the right choices that shift in order to ask for a referral, right? And again, let's be clear, you guys, there's certain windows of time where people are having different experiences under care that they're, more susceptible to the invitation, to the invite, to the opportunity to refer. And so, you will know energetically, you will know from the kind of feedback you're getting. The team might be getting different feedback from you because you guys all know your practice members say different things to, your staff than they do to you, right? But collectively, you can pick at least 2 people. It's structured, it's systematized. And I know there's a few team members on here. Robin, I see you, my friend. Nice to have you as always. And what you must do, team members, is you must hold the docs accountable for following the system. And docs, if you are a truly loving, caring human being, then you're going to be giving your team permission to absolutely kick your ass up and down the office if you don't follow through on your end of the system. That is the way it could and should work. That's the system that I've found most effective. Now, you choose to ask for more than 2 per shift. Awesome. I know there's some of you that are seeing 50, 80, 100, 150 people a shift. I mean, there's opportunity to definitely talk to more than 2, but 2 is a minimum. Now, here's the question. How do you ask? How do you actually do this? There is a best practice that we teach our clients here at Full Circle. I will try and talk as concisely as I can. You can at least get the gist of it. And if you're a really fast note taker, maybe you'll even jot yourselves a note. Here's one of the biggest mistakes people make when they ask referrals. They are not specific enough. They are not clear enough about exactly what it is that they're asking for. Okay. So the first part of the dialogue might go something like this. And since, it's never exactly the same because at Full Circle, we don't believe in scripts. Scripts are for robots. They're not for humans. We believe in templates. So we template this, and then it's always a little bit different because you're in communication with another real human being, you guys, right? But it might go something like this. Joe, I am so thrilled with your progress. Oh my goodness, things are just looking so great. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm guessing you're pretty happy with the fact that those cluster migraine headaches you've been having for the last 15 years are settling down, right? Joe's going to give me a thumbs up or probably use some words, right? And so now it's like, so Joe, here's my question to you. We are committed in this practice to helping our community be healthier, happier, and live at their more full potential. Who was one person that you wish didn't have to suffer with the health problems they have, the headaches and challenges that they have. And then you be quiet and you let them think. The mistake that people make is they don't ask for one person. They say, who's somebody you know? Well, in case you didn't know it, you guys, your average person has between 45 and 7,500 people in the Rolodex of their brains. And so they're thinking, rolling their Rolodex in their minds, 45 to 7,500 people. It ain't going to go fast. It is likely not going to go well. But if you say, who's one person you know, that, and if you want to go at it from a symptom standpoint, I'm not suggesting that's a wrong way to do it, right? Particularly if they've had tremendous, relief from whatever it is that brought them into your office from a symptomatic standpoint, right? But there's another way to do it, you guys, which is a little bit more generic, but also quite effective, where you go, who is one person that you wish understood what you know about health and well-being? That you wish understood the impact of a properly functioning nervous system on health, well-being, and optimal human performance. And then, for heaven's sakes, you guys, be quiet. Let them think. Let them come up with a name. Okay? So there's definitely a best practice way to do this. Most people don't do this well. They use too many words. They're too verbose, and or they're not saying specifically who's just one person. So if you're a note taker, there's a couple of tidbits for you there, you guys. It makes this low cost, highly effective, new patients with absolutely no money, just a little bit of effort. Okay. Now, here's the last part, you guys, the fifth part in the sequence. You must follow up. You must. If you don't follow up, you're better not to ask in the first place. Because what you've done is you've let that practice member down. You've let all of the people in their community that they would have referred to you down. Basically, in my opinion, you screwed up. You must follow up. So once you get the name, here's how it could go. This is how it went in my practice, how we usually recommend it. There's some really high volume practices who have some pretty funky ways to do this electronically. Most people aren't seeing 1,500 a week like some of our clients are. So here's how it happened in my office and how I recommend it. I'd say, great, Joe, let's just go right out to the front desk here, and I'm going to get Sandra to follow up with you here, okay? So we'd walk out to the front desk. I'd say, hey, Sandra, Joe says that he wants to refer his brother in for care because he's got a problem. So with headaches or whatever, depends how you phrased it, you guys, right? Sandra would then have a sheet, whether it's electronic or old school paper. We would usually refer to this as a master lead generation sheet. And you would write the name down, Joe, referring brother Bob in for this. And then you would also follow up on what educational tool that you are actually using to help educate, in this fictional example, Joe's brother Bob, to come into the office. Because if we were to follow the dialogue, you guys, of what I started earlier, who's one person you know that you wish understood what you understood about health and well-being, right? Using my example, Joe says, my brother Bob. Say, great. How do you think is the best way to educate Bob so that Bob understands what you understand, Joe, about health, about chiropractic, about the function of the nerve system? We got options. Every Wednesday night, 6:15 p.m., we do a healthcare class. It's an educational opportunity, no charge. It's a service to our community. We also have some really interesting videos on our YouTube channel. I'd be happy to recommend a couple of good ones there. Or you know what, Joe, you'd be happy to just bring your brother Bob in with you when he comes in next time, and I'd book some extra time to chat with him. What do you think is the best way? Listen to my language carefully, you guys. What do you think is the best way to educate brother Bob to understand what you understand about health, wellness, chiropractic, and the function of the nerve system? Never, you guys, never more than three. Never more than three examples or three things. Two is often enough. Never, never, never more than three. Because there's an old saying in sales and marketing that the confused mind never buys. The confused mind never buys. You must be clear. You must be direct. You must be concise. Two, no more than three ways. You might have 7 or 8 examples. Be in the moment. Be present. Feel it out. Decide what you think might be the best way. Offer, in this example, Joe some options. Let Joe decide. Up to the front desk, it gets recorded. And then whether you're using electronic records or using old-fashioned, paper stuff, it gets recorded so that the next visit Joe's in, the team and the doc's responsibility is to follow up and say, hey, Joe, what did Bob think of the? videos that he watched? What did Bob think of the class that he attended? What did, do some follow-up and see where it's at. Because if you're not willing to follow up, you guys, what you're basically doing is saying, I don't care. And as soon as you say, I don't care, people don't trust you. People don't trust you. They're not referring their friends and family in for care because they don't trust you. You must follow up. In our office, we followed up until one of three things happened. Using my example of Joe's brother, fictional brother, Bob. Bob came in for care. Bob told us to go get stuffed, or Joe stopped being a practice member. That was the only time we stopped following up, right? Care enough to ask the question. Just because somebody says no today does not mean that they're going to say no 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or 12 months from now, right? Care enough to follow up. There was a company in the US who did some follow-up sales studies, you guys, and all they would do is take the names and phone numbers in the old days of phone numbers being the more reliable way to communicate with people. And they would go to a trade show and somebody would, be looking at kitchen faucets, and somebody would be looking at cars, and somebody would be looking at hardwood decks, and somebody looking at whatever. And all they did every 90 days is they called them up and they said, did you buy a kitchen faucet? Or did you buy a car? Or did you buy whatever it was they were looking at? That was the entire job of this company, this data trends company. They followed this up for 20 years, you guys. Here's what they learned. Here's what you learned. And if you're somebody that likes a little bit of data, jot this down. 50% of the people who show interest in any product or service in the world will never, ever, ever buy it. 50%. Half the people will never buy. Just know that. That's a stat, statistically proven. Of the 50% that do buy, only 15% will buy in the first 90 days on hearing about a new product or service that they're not familiar with. 15%, 1-5. What that means is 85% of the people that you're inviting to come to your practice, that you're meeting somewhere and talking to about the benefits that you could provide for them, are going to show up sometime between 0 and 3 years from now. 0 and 3 years from now. If you don't have a way to nurture that lead and to follow that lead and to show them that you care enough to be persistent because you care about them, you care about your community, you care about their health, you're missing a great opportunity. Matter of fact, you're missing out on, statistically, 85% of the referrals that you could be getting. Let me say that again. If you don't have a nurture sequence, if you're not following up, you're missing out on 85% of the referrals that you could be getting. In the chat, you guys, while I sip some water here, who here thinks that if they got 85% more new patients in the next 60 days, it would boost their practice? Anybody? Anybody? We just wave at the camera, you guys. Anybody think that would help? Would that grow the practice a little bit? Anybody? Just wondering, Must follow up, you guys. That's the bottom line here. Okay. All right. Let me show you again what this looks like. And as I'm going to show you a little geometric picture. I've found that these pictures, you guys, are incredibly telling and really help me to understand sort of how this whole thing comes together. So let me just pull this piece up, you guys, so that we can, you should have got a worksheet, you guys, if you registered for the magic show. So let me show you the worksheet, and let's just go through these 5 keys together, okay? Step 1, you guys, you must have an avatar that represents exactly who your ideal practice member is. Mine, God bless my grandparents, not beautiful blue-haired old ladies. Kids, moms, babies, family care. You must have an avatar. With an avatar, then you must have a way to communicate. And in this case, we're looking for low cost, high quality, under $12 for a month. And what you must do is you must be willing to realize that you've got to use your table talk, that it's got to have 2 heads. It's got the educational head, if you will, but it also has the marketing head. All right. You must also be able to, and you must create a system for this internal referral stuff that we've been talking about tonight, these low cost, high quality new practice members, right? And then you must be able to ask, right? You must be able to ask and do it in what we call a best practice way. I shared with you the dialogue, the template that we highly recommend that has been unbelievably effective forever. But the key and the bottom line here, you guys, is you must follow up. If you're not following those leads, if you're not being able to help them understand that you give a rat's butt enough to be able to care enough to be able to follow them up, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot, and you're missing out on a tremendous opportunity to serve your community, make a difference with your lives and your practices, make a boat ton more money, have more meaning, and be able to take and have more time freedom in your life as a result. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions at this point, you guys? I'm willing to pause for just a couple of minutes and just see if anybody has any questions. I'd love to see those in the chat if you've got some questions. Let's just see where we're at, you guys, with questions. Anybody have any questions? Let's make sure that I can actually see the chat. Anybody have any questions? Dan says, so what or where is the $12 coming in? Great question, Dan. How did I know that you would be the one that would ask that question? Well, $12 is probably, at least in my practice, buying coffee in the morning for the team as we do our morning huddles to decide who are the 2 practice members we're going to talk to that day, okay, during that shift. So great question, Dan. Really open to any other questions that you guys have. All right, the coach in me, you guys, I can't even help myself. I absolutely must do this. Here's what, if you want to get the maximum benefit of this, which is why we do this in workshop format, we want you coming out of this with a to-done list, not a to-do list, right? Let's get clear, and I'd love for you to just jot down any action steps that you're going to take as a result of our time together tonight. Take a sec while I take a sip of water here. Let's jot down what those action steps are that you're going to move forward with as a result of our time together tonight. And you know what? I'd love to see, just out of curiosity, just to see, you know, where you guys are at in this journey here. I'd love to see in the chat just what your action steps are, you guys. What's your number 1 action step? I'm going to do the thing that makes my wife the happiest. I'm going to stop talking for a brief period of time. I'd love to see what the action step is. James says, same old rehash stuff from 85. Have a good day. Bye. Thanks, James, for showing up. We appreciate you being here. If you're already doing this in your practice, you're making a difference. You've been great to be here. Appreciate your time. Anybody else have any comments about what it is that they're focused on doing? I'm going to go forward. Kira has a great question. Can you share an ask for getting a mom to bring in a child? Yes, that's a great question, Kira. Love to see action steps, you guys. What are the action steps that you are going to take as a result of our time together? One thing you're going to do different, better, other, you're going to tweak, you're going to commit to. I know it takes a couple of seconds to write into the chat there, so I'll give you guys a second. And while you guys are doing that, I will give you one of my favorite ways, Dr. Kira, to ask for a parent to bring a kid in. And again, you've got to create the context for this to make sure that it's in the right timing of this. But one of the greatest places I've found to help parents see the value of getting their kids under care is during the report of findings. And literally, it's part of the system that we have, right? I got some people in here talking about creating avatars. Starting at the very beginning, Bill says, and create the avatar. Kira says, fully written marketing plan. Yes, I was going to say, for those of you that haven't got your fingers to the keyboard yet, getting a marketing plan in writing is definitely something that most of you said that you don't have yet. It would be a great way to do that. So here's one thing, you guys, that I've done to ask parents to get their kids under care, right? Seems like avatar is the place for people to start right at the beginning. I think that's very wise. So the dialogue might go something like this. Kira, are you somebody that would love to see your kids have more than you had in life? Have more opportunities than you had in life? I've never seen a parent yet that didn't answer that question and say, yeah, I'd love to give my kids more opportunities, more than I had in my life. And I'd say, well, now that you understand what you understand about chiropractic and the function of the nervous system, you can probably appreciate how when you walked in here, you saw all of those pictures of the kids on the walls. Why you see so many kids and babies running around in here is because every parent I've ever talked to wants more for their children than they had. But from what you've told me, Kira, your parents didn't understand chiropractic. Your parents didn't understand the nervous system and its function on optimal human performance and health and well-being. You know that now. It's a great opportunity for you to do something more for your kids by bringing them in and getting them checked. Simple as that, you guys, right? Just a lead-in conversation, asking them if they want something more for their kids, phrasing it and framing it within the context of chiropractic health and neurology. And again, my practice was full of kids. 30% of my practice in a given time was kids under the age of 12. It seemed to be a very effective way, a very effective communication, method to do that, right? Marcy says she's got to follow up better with the leads, okay? And I think that most people are not following up probably near as many as they could. And of course, the last step, you guys, the coaching me goes, you got to put a deadline to those action steps. So do this right now, you guys. Ruth, deadline. When are you getting your avatar done? Kira, when's the rough draft of your marketing plan going to be done? Right? Marcy, when are you going to follow up with those leads? Right? Bill's going to start with the avatar. Dan's going to create an avatar, right? So let's make sure, you guys, that you're getting those action steps, put a deadline, whether it's July the 29th or it's August the 5th. It's not that it doesn't matter what deadline you put, but be sure that you put a deadline and that you've got somebody to, hold you accountable for that as well. Okay. You got to have a date, you guys. Our next magic show, you guys, as I said earlier on, I'm going to be actually away on some recreation time here in the next few weeks as of this recording. So the next one is going to be a fun one. It's going to be in about 4 weeks. It's as of this recording, how the New York Yankees would run a chiropractic practice. I've got my friend Joe, who's a marketing guy, who's helps me out with some of these titles. And when we brainstorm this one back and forth, I want to go to this damn magic show, you guys, because what the heck has the New York Yankees baseball team got to do with chiropractic and running a chiropractic practice? Show up on August 18th, 2022 at 7:30 as of this recording, and you will get the answers, to that dialogue. Okay. All right, you guys, let's bring this baby in for a landing. As I said tonight, this piece of the puzzle was right here in our systems pillar under internal marketing. It's really what we're focusing on, which is creating a new practice member pipeline. I can tell you that in my hands-on practice, you guys, we would get somewhere between 2 and 6 referrals per week by just using this very simple, low cost. And then, Dan, we could use the $12 to buy coffee or water or whatever it was we wanted in the office as we shared that time together. Okay. So again, all of these conversations, all these magic shows, you guys, we take a particular step in our multi-step roadmap to help people go from where they are to where they want to get to with meaning, money, and freedom in their lives. And as a result of that, we can help them get where they want to go. So thanks so much for your time and your attention tonight, you guys. I'm very happy to stay around and answer any questions. Kira, thanks so much for your kind words. Ruth, thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. Brian, you're most welcome, my friend. Jana, absolutely a pleasure to have you. Real honor to have you guys. And I look forward to seeing you in other future magic shows. Anybody has any questions? I'm also happy to hang out for a minute in the chat and see if there's any questions. If you're in a quiet background, feel free to come off mute and just ask your question. You're welcome, Bill. You're welcome, Alora. You're welcome, Ron. Such nice folks, very appreciative. And I'm honored by your presence tonight. So, Marianne lost the connection. Great to see you. Great to see you too, Marianne. Real pleasure to have you here, right? Janine, you're most welcome. My commitment to this, you guys, is to help you guys more meaning, more money, and more freedom in your lives, serve your communities at a higher level, and make a difference with your lives. So it would appear there aren't a whole lot of questions tonight, you guys, which means either you guys are tired, ready to go, or I did a great job. I'm going to go with the latter. Everybody, enjoy your evening wherever you are in the world. Pleasure to be part of your world, part of your family. And I look forward to seeing you again on future magic shows, you guys. Take care, everybody. Good night.